everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about some more RAD parts. So today we have a new part from RAD Industries, and this is a GE to GTE adapter. It's a really nice billet part. It looks good, it works good. We're going to talk about why I developed this, because there's a need for it, and you can see there's a motor behind me, and we're going to talk about the pros and the cons of the part, or not having the part versus having the part. This motor is a GE motor. When they're going to turbo a GE motor, that's something that none of us really like, is how the manifold is pretty kind of ugly, I'm going to say, but it comes up and over, and then it gets pretty much right in the way where the turbo would be. With this exhaust manifold, it might actually work because this is a low profile log manifold that keeps the turbo kind of directly out off the side of the motor. But in some cases, if you had like a normal log manifold or something that the turbo was up high, you couldn't even utilize the OEM GE intake manifold. The idea here is to leave the lower, this is what you see here, and then adapt it to a GTE upper. So this is what a GTE upper looks like. And by having this, it will allow you to have your throttle body right here on this side and be completely away. It doesn't go up and over the valve covers, it's just over on the intake side of the motor. It doesn't just bolt right up, unfortunately. It looks like it would, but it does not. Everything's kind of misaligned by just a hair here and there. And then the runners need to be directed. If you will look closely at this, you can see how there's, they're offset and machined at certain angles so that the runners coming from the upper intake manifold will line up real smoothly as they go into the lower of the GE. Let's talk more about the pros and cons, and then we'll do the install. I'm going to install one for you guys real quick just so you see the process. So first, we're turboing a non-turbo motor. The cons are that it's just ugly and wraps up over there and it's in the way. That's one thing. There's no solution for it except buying an entire manifold, like this big giant manifold that's probably going to be like some eBay special one, or you can spend a bunch of money and get a Hypertune intake or the other intakes that are out there, thousands of dollars, but you're probably doing the NAT swap or the NAT build to save money, because the cost of one of these motors right here has gone way up. It's just ridiculously too high. Unless you want to spend the like $7 for one of those, you're gonna probably go this route. And so I was trying to help make parts to adapt things to make it look better and function really good. As you can see on this here, there's not going to be a gasket that would normally lay here. On both sides there would be a gasket, but the way we designed this is to use O-rings. And so when you buy the RAD adapter, it'll come with all these O-rings, which you're going to have 12 O-rings. There's going to be 4 that are slightly larger, and it's the outside on both sides. On the GTE side and the GE side, it's the most outer ones are going to be a slightly bigger O-ring. But when you buy it from us, we're going to install the O-rings before we ship it. But in the case that one or so pushed out, I don't think that will happen, but I'm just letting you guys know. 4 inside on both sides are going to be the smaller of the O-rings, and then the 2 outside on both sides will be the slightly larger O-rings. It's pretty hard to tell unless you were to stretch them out. You can see that these 4 are slightly larger than the other ones. But moving on from that, it'll come fully set up for all your hardware to bolt everything together. Since this is mostly an upgrade part, I'm going to say that there's going to be way more positives than there is negatives, because the negatives are just not having this setup I was talking about, like just with the OEM setups. Positives are it's a beautiful billet part that has all the details that you would ever have in such a simple part, I guess you could say. It's 3/8 of an inch thick. That's a positive because on certain chassis, let's say the IS300 for example, when you're gonna put a different upper intake manifold, it's very close to the hood here where the throttle body will be. So this is saving you, let's say this was like 3/4 of an inch, then you probably are gonna be trimming your hood or cutting your hood. This is gonna save you just that extra little bit because it's thinner. Another positive of this is that we took the time to machine in for O-rings, so you don't have gaskets that you're lining up or that are failing. It's a more modern approach on this. The other positives are you get to have your intake manifold all on this side and it doesn't wrap all over the engine and look ugly. So let's go ahead and do the install together, see how it looks. We're gonna do the install together. I've already taken the upper part of this intake manifold off a long time ago. clean this up, and I'm just gonna show you guys how to install the adapter plate and the hardware, and then to set this upper intake manifold from a GTE on there. And we'll do that together. So if you guys have questions after you buy this, then you can refer back to this video and it'll help you. So we're gonna dump all the hardware out, and we're gonna start with these studs that have their M6 stud, but then at the bottom they have the higher thread pitch or the lower M6 thread pitch. So it's an M8125 insert. I don't know what else to call that but an insert, and we've Loctited them on there for you, so you'll have very little struggle with this. You're gonna have to remove these two studs. I've already loosened them so I can take them out by hand for you guys, but these are M8125 studs. We're not gonna use that anymore, and we're gonna install 4 of these on the outermost ones. I'm gonna install these studs so that I don't have to try and slide them through the plate after we've set the plate on, and this will help us just set the plate on. So as you can see, it says GTE upper on this side, and it says GE lower. So the side that says GE needs to meet with the GE lower, slides on like that. The reason we were reducing those threads is because it's a misaligned from, like, Toyota didn't want you to bolt these two manifolds together, so we used the misalignment with the reduced size from an M8 to M6 to just be able to center everything still and clear, and then we're able to make this kit work. So now I'm going to install these 3 countersunks, and notice I'm not going to tighten anything down all the way because you need to get everything centered before you would tighten anything, otherwise you won't be able to thread everything in. So I'm just going to snug it. Then I'm going to check with the upper manifold. There's still 3 more bolts we would install, but I'm going to install the upper manifold now. I'm going to tighten those 3 countersunks down. Everything looks like it's going to line up just right. All right. Still have 3 M8 studs to install, and then we have M6 nuts to put on. But first, before we would do that, I need to get these guys lined up. So the 2 long ones go here, and then you got the short one in the center. And these, you gotta start threading all of them before you're gonna snug any down, or it won't line up correctly, same as before. These lock washers would go onto each of these M6 studs. I'm not gonna install those right now because I will be taking this back apart later, but you guys get where they go. There's 4 of them, there's 4 of these studs. This is it. This is what it'll look like complete. You guys are gonna have questions if how tall does this make it in certain chassis like the IS300. I know I've been asked that many times. I do not own an IS300, so I can't physically test it for you guys and tell you, but the tallest part or the closest part towards the hood would be the throttle body, which is not installed on this right now. Kind of does tilt down a little bit, but not a whole lot. So it would kind of sit in this area. And I think that might be where you guys are in question on the IS300 chassis, and possibly other chassis, a GS or a SC maybe, might be more in question. With the SC300, we will know shortly from me installing it in there, and I can show you guys. This is overall 3/8 of an inch thick. If you already own this manifold, you could do your own measurements based off of what I just told you. But there you have it. It adapted GE lower to GTE upper, cleans up the motor, makes it look like a normal turbo motor. Super easy to work with, and it looks good too. One last look at the adapter plate. Super nice details. You guys can see it here in action, finished product with a good result. So hopefully this is a solution to make your project come to life. You guys can get this on our website, radindustries.com. So go check it out and whatever else you need for your race car build. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.